This comes after NBC News confirmed today that Biden was discussing preemptive pardons for Trump critics to protect them from possible retribution.
Among some of the names being floated, Dr. Anthony Fauci. He served as a top science advisor during the height of COVID-19, you'll remember.
At some point, maybe there needs to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members, but something needs to happen.
I'm sure many of you have heard these sporadic news stories about Biden pardoning pretty much everyone who has ever said anything against Trump or has been in the crosshairs of the Republican Party in the last 10 years. However, what you might not know is why Biden and his handlers are suddenly in a hurry to protect their puppets. So in this video, I'm going to tell you why the deep state has no choice but to save its people, and how these pardons might just be the biggest slap to the American public. Now, frankly, when I saw articles about this story, I thought it was a joke, or maybe Biden just mumbled about pardoning people and it became news. I know Biden has made some horrendous decisions, but surely he can't be crazy enough to think that mass pardons can be normalized. My thoughts, however, changed when I saw this.
And I just look at where Zeke started about the idea of preemptive pardons. Yeah. You clearly didn't rule that out. You confirmed that the White House is really considering that in response to
I'm not confirming anything. I'm just saying I'm not going to get ahead of the president on this issue. There's a process.
Are you ruling out the idea?
What I'm saying is I'm not getting ahead of the president. I'm not. He's going to make announcements on pardons and commutations. That is something every president, historically, presidents do, especially at the end of their term. And so that normally happens around the holiday. So you could expect the president making a decision. What I can talk to and speak to is this particular pardon a couple of days ago of his son and what he's been able to do.
Did you notice how happy she looked when she talked about Joe Biden announcing more pardons? Look, I am not a gambling man, but if I were to put my money on it, I'd say old Joe is going to give us a lot of bad news this holiday season. Now, we know that Joe Biden had to pardon his son Hunter because the crack addict is hiding many dark secrets, some of which can definitely put his father in very hot waters. However, these new pardons are not for Joe. These are mainly to calm down all the deep state pawns who feel like they'll get screwed as soon as Trump takes office. So let's focus on these candidates for preemptive pardon and see why they need a clean slate before January 20th. And the first person we're going to focus on is Hillary Clinton. We're talking about her because her husband and former president Bill Clinton went on The View and said he is open to talking to Biden about a preemptive pardon for his wife. While defending Hillary, he said that they've got a problem with her because first, she didn't do anything wrong. Second, she followed the rules exactly as they were written. Third, remember how the emails were such a big issue in 2016? Trump's State Department found that Hillary sent and received exactly 0 classified emails on her personal device. It was a made-up phone story. Now, even though he's technically correct about Hillary's emails fiasco, that doesn't mean she is squeaky clean. From everything we've heard in the last 10 years, Hillary allegedly has more skeletons in her closet than most Hollywood producers. And we also know how eager Trump's cabinet members are to make Hillary pay for her alleged crimes. Just hear what Vivek Ramaswamy thinks about her.
And so the fact of the matter is, Christian, I'm going to use this time because this is actually about you in the media and the corrupt media establishment. Ask you, the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that you pushed on this network for years, was that real or was that Hillary Clinton made up disinformation? Answer the question. Go.
Mr. Ross.
Sorry. This is how we get our country back. We need accountability because this media rigged the 2016 election. They rigged the 2020 election with the Hunter Biden laptop story.
Mr. Ramaswamy,
and they're going to rig this election.
Your time is up.
Accountability.
Let me turn to Governor Christie. Why you?
And we already know that Hillary is on Kash Patel's deep state enemies list alongside Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. So you can be certain that she would be an FBI target under Trump. And our new president himself has been pretty vocal about what kinds of things Hillary Clinton has allegedly done. In one interview, he told the media that he could have easily sued her if he wanted to.
Would you consider granting clemency or a pardon to
I don't think it's appropriate for me to talk about it. I think it's a tragic story. You want to know the truth. And I felt that with Hillary Clinton, too. With Hillary Clinton, I could have done things to her that would have made your head spin. I thought it was a very bad thing. Take the wife of a president of the United States and put her in jail. And then I see the way they treat me. That's the way it goes. But I was very protective of her. Nobody would understand that, but I was. I think my people understand it. They used to say, lock her up, and I'd say, just relax, please. We won the election. I think it would be I think it would have been horrible for our country and we had her between the hammering of all of the files, and she did a lot of very bad things. I'll tell you what, she was pretty evil. But in terms of the country and in terms of unifying the country, bringing it back, to have taken her and to have put her in jail, and I think you know the things as well as I do. There were some pretty bad acts that she did. I think it would have been very bad for our country.
As you can see, he keeps mentioning that she did some really evil things. We have no proof for his claims, but if he sues Hillary, we might find out if these claims are real or not. But I don't think Joe Biden's gonna let that happen. Now, moving on from Hillary, we have Dr. Anthony Fauci, who is probably most likely to receive a pardon from Joe Biden. And the reason is simple. Trump's close aides, including Elon Musk, have been very vocal critics of Fauci and his policies. In an extremely viral post on X, Elon wrote, "My pronouns are still prosecute Fauci." The Republican-led House subcommittee has also been grilling Dr. Fauci on various subjects.
Dr. Fauci, how much have you earned from royalties from pharmaceutical companies since the pandemic began in 2021?
Zero.
It says NIH scientists made $710 million in royalties from drug makers. You're saying that you did not receive any of the $710 million.
On COVID, I received, I think, $122 for a monoclonal antibody that I made 27 years ago.
Okay, so just in general, though, how much have you received, not related to COVID, just in general, how much have you received in royalties between 2021 and 2023?
I think none.
Okay, so somebody received the $710 million.
Somebody did, but not me.
He was also questioned multiple times about the 6 feet rule.
But we talked about the 6 foot distance an awful lot today. Do you recall if it was ever suggested to be 10 feet?
You know, I don't recall, Mitch, if it was ever suggested it was 10 feet, but when I made my explanation of what it was, I was saying that there was no trial that looked at 10 versus 6 versus 3 versus not even worrying about it at all.
And you said today that there were discussions at the White House about the 6 foot rule. You don't recall if it was discussions about whether or not it should be 3 or should be 10 or should be 6?
You know, I don't recall, Mitch, what the exact discussion was, but as I've said in response to multiple questions, what we had, the CDC was said that on the basis of their evaluation, which was based on the droplet approach, that 6 foot would be to go. And since there was no clinical trials going one way or the other, that's why it was accepted by the group.
And then there was the issue of NIH advisor Dr. David Morens, who, according to the Washington Post, deleted some emails.
Dr. Morens said in a May 2021 email, he indicated that he was connecting people to you in a, quote, secret back channel. Do you know what he was referring to?
I don't have any idea what he's talking about. There is no back channel at NIAID.
Okay, there is, he also said in another email that there is no worry about Freedom of Information Act. I can send stuff to Tony on his private email. Did you communicate with anyone relating to anything regarding NIH or with Dr. Morens on a private email?
I do not do government business on my private email.
Okay, so have you communicated with Dr. Morens via private email, even if it was not necessarily your definition of government business?
It might have been because, as I mentioned in my opening statement, one of his functions is to write chapters, medical scientific chapters with me, so it is conceivable that I communicated with him on my private email when we were writing a chapter, and that was not official.
What about Peter Daszak?
No.
So it's not outlandish to think that the doctor might face even more prosecution under Donald Trump. That's why Joe Biden's preemptive pardon definitely will not shock me. Next up, we have Liz Cheney, who is the daughter of the biggest deep state actor in American history. And this is what Donald Trump thinks about old Dick Cheney.
I didn't like Cheney when he was a vice president. I don't like him now. And I don't like people that rat out everybody like he's doing in the book. I'm sure it'll be a bestseller, but isn't it a shame? Here's a guy that did a rotten job as vice president. Nobody liked him, tremendous divisiveness, and he's going to make a lot of money on the book. I won't be reading it.
He also has made it clear that in his opinion, Liz Cheney and every member of the January 6th committee should go to jail.
And Cheney was behind it. And so was Benny Thompson and everybody on that committee. For what they did.
Yeah.
Honestly, they should go to jail.
Even though he says he will not direct Kash Patel to go after Cheney, I think we can safely say Liz is gonna need a pardon ASAP to save herself from his vengeance. Now, it's true that Biden does have the legal authority to pardon these people, but my question is simple. Why can't we just let these people defend themselves against all these accusations? It will clear their name once and for all and put an end to all the rumors about them. Of course, these blanket pardons also create another huge issue. If you pardon someone for the last 10 years, what are you going to do if we find out they did really heinous stuff in that time? Also, what is stopping a future president from pardoning gangsters and murderers? We definitely need answers to these questions, and I would love to know your opinion about all of this. Do you think the president should have the authority to pardon anyone? Share your thoughts with everyone in the comments section below. Please double check that you're subscribed to this channel if you enjoy updates like this. As always, thank you for watching today's video, and I'll catch you in the next one.